Welcome coders. In this video we will learn how to upload a data frame from Lambda to S3. The problem is we cannot upload a data frame or we cannot write a data frame directly to S3. So when we are using Lambda, we need to use the temporary directory or temporary memory of AWS Lambda. Then we can transfer it to S3 bucket. So stepwise, first we will create a data frame. We will write that data frame into that temporary area or the temp directory. From there onwards, we will move that directory or that data frame to bucket. Now, one more constant is that we cannot directly transfer the data frame in CSV format. We need to convert that data frame into bytes. From bytes, we will transfer it to S3 bucket. So every operation, these operations will happen in bytes. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. Now to achieve the functionality what I described, for that one we need to have one Lambda and we need to have one bucket. Okay, so the bucket that I have already created, that bucket name is let the page open. So the bucket name is the Silicon Board Bucket Hyderabad. Okay, this is the bucket name. Now the Lambda function that we are going to create, we will create one new Lambda function that will have that functionality. So first we will create one Lambda function. So let's say that Lambda function name would be upload df from Lambda to S3. Okay, now we are using Python 3.9 and any advanced settings not required. Execution role, we will use an existing execution role. Okay, that this execution role have some basic permissions to execute Lambda, and we will create the Lambda function. So let's give one more underscore here and we will create one function. So our function is created. Now once this function is created, you can simply delete all these things. Once this is deleted, now we can write our code. But before that, we need to add some layers. Layers are nothing but these are imports what we do in Python. Okay, so the layers that we are doing, we will attach here. That is, we will click on add layer and we can specify ARN, or you can specify the basic pandas library that AWS is giving to us. Okay, so we will attach this one. Okay, version you can take 2, that is coming automatically, and add it. So this layer has been added in our Lambda function. So you can see one layer is already added. Now what we will do, we will write our code here. We don't need anything, any pre-templates, so I have deleted that. Now we will start writing the code. Okay, now to write the code, what we will do, first we will import few libraries. First basic, we are creating a data frame, so we need pandas. So import pandas as pd. Okay, import pandas as pd. I don't know why it is taking the other things. Okay, import boto3. Then we will take IO, import IO. IO basically it helps us to convert to bytes. Okay, so we will either bytes or string bytes, so we will use IO. Okay, now we will use boto resource. So what we will do, I will create an S3 resource equal to boto3 dot resource resource. Okay, now so our resource is created. Now what we will do, we will declare that bucket name. So bucket name equal to something, we will give it afterwards. Prefix is nothing but the folder path. We will, for the time being, we will keep it blank. Then file name, let's say we will be creating a data frame that is related to cars, so you can say that file name would be car.csv. Now this bucket name is our bucket name where we will store that data frame. Okay, so from we will go to S3 Then we will check for the S3 bucket, and we will take this bucket name. So our bucket name is the silicon board bucket Hyderabad. So we will take this bucket name, just copy this bucket name and paste it here. Similarly, the prefix is the folder. So let's say we have created one new folder, or this one is also okay. So test, our folder name is test1. Okay, remember, don't keep those slashes. Okay, so we got our bucket name, we got prefix, the folder, and the file name. Okay, so once this is done, what we will do, we will create that lambda function. Okay, so before that, what we will do, we will make a bucket object. So bucket object, it can be made something like this: S3 resource, then we can use bucket, then bucket name. Okay, so this bucket variable points to this bucket name. Okay, now we will define our lambda function. So lambda handler arguments is event and context. So we are not using any triggers. So event and context doesn't have any work in this scenario. Okay, so what we are doing, we are creating a data frame. Let's say data frame is our car. Okay, so we will write car df equal to pd dot data frame. It's a small data frame, so let's say our car, and it shows the mileage. So we will keep some car name, let's say BMW, and the second car is Audi. Okay, now the mileage would be, let's say our BMW gives 20 and Audi gives 30 km/h per liter, sorry. Okay, this is our mileage. Now once this data frame is created, what we will do, first we will create an object of bytes IO. So what we will do, bytes underscore IO equal to IO dot bytes. Okay, so we are creating a bytes object from IO dot bytes method or constructor. Okay, once this is done, what we will do, we will convert our data frame and we will put that data into bytes IO. So how will it look like? Let's say car df dot to csv. Okay, to csv, then bytes IO index equal to none. So what we are doing here, we are converting our data frame into CSV, but in a byte format, and it doesn't have any index. That extra index column sometimes comes up when we write or when we write a CSV file. That should not come. For that one, we have given index equal to none. Okay, so from here onwards, what we will do, we will get the value of bytes in a data frame format, and we will store that one in one variable. So how we will do it, let's say that will be car df dot bytes equal to bytes IO dot get value. So what is happening here, this bytes IO holds the data of the data frame in bytes format along with some extra informations. But what we are doing here is, we are only getting those values in bytes and storing it here. Okay, so this will be bytes, bytes. Okay, so we are having our data frame in bytes. So once this is done, we can print it and we can see what is there in car df bytes. Okay, so if we deploy it and if we test it, we will get the output what is there in there. So for the time being, we don't need all these things. Remove it, this comma should not be there, and I will give, let's say, my test, or you can just say test1. It is of no use because we are not having any triggers. Okay, we are simply running that function, executing that function. So you can see there is no attribute of bytes, IO dot bytes is not there. Okay, so we are having at line number error, we are having it line number 18. Okay, let's say we are going to, let's say, line number 18. Okay, bytes IO. Okay, this will be bytes IO, sorry, deployed. Then we will test it. See, the data frame that we are using, it is converted into bytes. This is the output. Okay, now it starts with B, this means it's bytes. Once this is done, what we will do, we will write this data frame into a temporary memory of lambda. Okay, so to write that one, we will use binary format. Okay, so what we will do, we will use with open context manager to write that file. So we know that temp is the location where we want to write, and the file name will be the file name that we have already declared, and it will be in which mode? It will be in write binary mode. Okay, as data. Okay, so once we do that one, after that what we will do, we will write the data frame in that temporary location. So what will be data dot write, then the variable will be car.df dot bytes. So what's happening here, the data frame that we got in bytes format, it is being stored in the temporary location of lambda. From here onwards, we will move that data frame from the temporary location of lambda to S3 bucket. Okay, so till now we have reached up to that temporary location part. If I show you this image, if I show you the image, that image is this one. Just a second. So we have reached up to this point. Okay, so now we will write a code to reach to S3 bucket. So let's write. So for that one, what we will do, we will use S3 resource dot meta dot client dot upload file, from where we are writing from the temp. Okay, so this is the from section. From temp temp, we should be careful about the spellings. Then what is the file name that is there? That is the file name. Now this is where the source is. Okay, so this is the source section. So source is nothing but this part. So this part and this part should be same. After that, the second argument is the bucket name. So we have our bucket name stored here. Now in which file name, or what will be the file name inside our S3 bucket, okay, or S3 folder? So that for that one I have already mentioned. What we will do, we will give the first folder name. So folder name is prefix, or you can say the folder path. So that is the prefix. Prefix is nothing but this one, test1. Test1 is our folder in S3 bucket, and our S3 bucket name is the Silicon Board Bucket Hyderabad. Okay, now we'll put one forward slash. Be careful about forward slash and backward slashes. Then what we will do, we will use the file name. Okay, so what it does, the file or the data that is having in the temporary memory of lambda, it will take this one and it will transfer this one to this place. Okay, and in which bucket? This bucket. So this bucket name, all those things are being mentioned here. So once we deploy it, it will write that file into our S3 bucket of that specific folder. Okay, now I will deploy. Once it is deployed, I will go to the folder to make sure that we don't have anything in our folder. Okay, so once this is done, we will test it. So we are getting some error, indentation is not correct. Okay, so this is column number 5, this is column number, okay, this is column number 4. No, this is 5, this is 4, this is column number 5. Okay, now deploy it. Then we will run this function. Once we run this function, we got status succeeded. Okay, and time took 671 milliseconds. Now we will go to our folder. Now in folder, you need to refresh it. See, that's the data frame has arrived in our S3 buckets specific folder. Now once you get that one, you can see the time frame at what time it has been uploaded. Okay, so to test it, what you will do, download it. So all downloads, and I am opening that data frame, and you can see this data frame is already downloaded, and we can see the actual data that was there in the data frame that we had created in the lambda. So this is the way you can upload one data frame that is created inside an lambda, and you can easily you can upload that data frame into an S3 bucket. So this is a handy code. It is very useful when you are doing large projects, and it hope it can help you. So for this video I will end, and let's see in the other video.